The story starts with the dungeons coming out into the real world. The invasion of the dungeons, which was discovered 5 years ago, was still a threat to people's peaceful lives. But at that time, when the world was about to end, a group of people called the Hunters showed up and stopped that from happening. The Hunters were superhumans with amazing skills. They were the heroes of the time because they saved the world from a terrible crisis with their skills. One day, a system message said that Sylogis, the king of evil spirits, had died and that the connection to the space he had been controlling was going to be broken. Sun Moa and her coworkers had been drinking a lot, so when they got home late one night, Sun Moa set an alarm on her phone and went to sleep, hoping to take a shower in the morning. But when she woke up, she was in a dungeon with magical monsters. She didn't know why she was taken there because she didn't have any problems with anyone. The only thing she could think of was an irregular rift that didn't happen very often in the world, and she was the one who got stuck because of it. She knew he was going to die, but she hoped to wake up in a fight, but she didn't know how to fight the thing that was looking for her. When she was scared to death and thinking about going home, she saw that the creature was eating an expensive part of a potion. Just after she touched the ingredient, the status bar kept popping up in front of her and telling her that she had finally woken up and that something magical was about to happen. Sun Moa thanked God for not throwing her away. She wanted to get out of the dungeon, but the status board doesn't show any abilities. Not only that, but she also didn't know how to fight because the only thing she could do when she woke up was pick up grass. She could pick up the best version of everything, which gave her an advantage. She gathered an S-rank Evitani stones as they cost more than 50 million. But she needed to get out to get the money as the hunter market is inaccessible inside the dungeon. She couldn't get out, so she kept gathering S and A-rank grasses, flowers, and roots, which were the best. Even though her ability wasn't very useful if she couldn't use it to get outside, she kept swallowing as many stones as she could, which made her move faster for a short time. Since she couldn't do anything else, the only thing that gave her hope was getting faster. There were 3 ways to escape from a dungeon, but her lack of abilities left out the only option of catching a monster and collecting a magic stone with her hidden skill to get out of trouble. She remembered that the current top hunter, Seo Jihan, was the one who found the method first, but she didn't have the powers. Sun Moa was busy contemplating making a decision as she kept herself hidden behind a rock, but her hungry stomach revealed her location. Sun Moa kept swallowing every piece of stone she could find in her inventory out of fear and ran away to avoid an attack. She prayed and hoped that the monster would let down its guard enough for her to kill it as it screamed at her to come closer. The monster that looks like an ant starts attacking Sun Moa with its tongs, but she keeps moving quickly to avoid the attacks. During a sudden attack, one of the tongs gets stuck in the wall, and she uses this as an opportunity to punch it in the face with all her strength. The angry creature screamed, but the kick didn't hurt it much, so she picked up a rock and threw it in its face. But even that move didn't help because the creature ended up tearing it apart with its tongs like it was tofu. Since the buff time was almost up, the chances of getting out were getting worse. Sun Moa looked at the creature's joints and saw that they were only able to move back and forth, like human knees. She grabs a rock and keeps hitting it in the knees, tearing it apart, and using the pieces to kill it. When the creature was finally dead, she used her skill to get the mana stone, which let her get away from the other creatures in the dungeon. But shockingly, one of the creatures hurt her badly before she teleported back home, leaving her bloody. As she moaned in pain on the bed, she realized she still had some hunter life flowers in her inventory that she could sell at the hunter market. On the verge of dying, she sold everything she had and used the money to buy potions from the market. She was a hunter and went by the name Looter. When she was about to die, she drank a B-rank potion. When she woke up the next morning, she couldn't believe it wasn't a dream but a real event. Not only that, but she has also made billions of dollars by selling the rare items she got from the dungeon in her hunter market. Sun Moa took the $2.5 billion in cash and decided to quit her job where she lived paycheck to paycheck. At the same time, she wanted to give her mom $5 million by saying she won the lottery, and she wanted to save the other $2 billion so she could spend them slowly. When she got to work, the people in charge of the management team made fun of her because she looked a bit puffy for someone who had been sick. Mr. Lee from the second team told her that she shouldn't have forgotten to tell them. During a conversation with a coworker named Kim Soo-hyun, she found out that the general manager had been filling in for her yesterday. She wanted to apologize to him, and let him know that she was going to quit very soon. Sun Moa's desk was full of forms for buying hunter market items, and Kim Soo-hyun insisted that she meet the market managers early so they wouldn't be too busy. On the way to the room of the market manager, Sun Moa kept thinking about what to do with the information that he had been awakened. He also thought about how easy it would be to be a market manager in the future. When she started talking to the egotistical market manager, she noticed a book with a collection of raids. The market manager also saw the book, and he started telling her everything he knew about the creature she was interested in. When Sun Moa found out that an F-rank creature almost killed her, she was very upset, and she vowed to never go into a dungeon again. When she got back with all the tools, Kim Soo-hyun gave her the beef porridge she had brought for her to eat while she finished the rest of the work. Shin Se-yeon, Sun Moa's boss, came looking for her as she was leaving work while she was eating. After thinking about it for a while, Sun Moa was finally ready to say that she was going to quit her job. But just as she was about to say it, the building started shaking in a very strange way. They both thought it might be an earthquake, so when the general manager told Sun Moa to hide under the table, she refused and insisted on going outside to see what was going on. When she went outside, she saw that it wasn't an earthquake, but a dungeon opening up inside the office building. The only way out of the dungeon was to use the $5 billion escape stone. This meant that there was literally no way out. Sun Moa was crying because he was back in a dungeon, but this one was different from the last one. She heard people yelling in pain and asking for help, so she thought of the market managers because they could help. Sun Moa was about to go look for them when she saw the same creature kill a man earlier that day. The general manager saved her in the dark. They went too far together and saw that Ms. Kim and the leaders of both teams were arguing about how to divide the spot. They used the fact that they worked in the office to get what they wanted, but Sun Moa spoke up against their decision. While they were arguing, something started to chase them. One of the leaders pushed Ms. Kim to the ground so that they could get to a safe place first. When Ms. Kim suggested that Sun Moa hide there, too, since there was still room for one more person, the leaders didn't agree and pushed her away. Then, all three of them found a rock and hid under it while the leaders were killed by the creature in the blind spot. When things calmed down, Sun Moa went to the managers to ask for help looking for Evatanis in the area, but the general manager didn't want her to go off on her own. Ms. Kim told them that the last time something similar happened, everyone in the dungeon died. This made Sun Moa want to tell them how she found out she was awakened. Just as Sun Moa was about to tell her bosses her secret, they heard noises that sounded like a hunter was fighting close by. Sun Moa thought it must be the market manager, so everyone ran to where they were, but there was no dead monster there. Sun Moa thought the market manager had left after stealing from the creature, but then they saw two other workers from the company, Kim and Min-soo, and the badly hurt market manager who was trying to help them. The market manager who had been hurt was huffing and puffing in pain and anger because no one was listening to him when he asked them to leave. He was afraid that a big animal would show up soon, but none of them were willing to leave him there to die. In the end, he was right, and a huge C-rank king insect monster showed up to kill them. Once, the market manager was able to use his shield to protect everyone from the attack, but just as he was about to block for the last time as everyone ran away, Seo Ji-hun showed up and killed the monster that was threatening their lives. Sun Moa knew that the first ranked was alone in the dungeon, but the others thought that a rescue team had come to help them. He threw them a multi-person escape stone to do the rest of the work. But there was a problem. It could only hold 5 people, but there were 6 people living there. The general manager opened the escape portal because he knew the market manager's condition was only getting worse and there was no time to waste. Sun Moa wasn't ready to let her stay behind while the others escaped and called a rescue team for her. She knew she wouldn't have made it this far without the manager and the assistant manager, so she made up her mind and slammed them both into the escape portal. Sun Moa thought she made the best choice because they didn't have to leave anyone asleep and they left the cave the way Seo Ji-hun did, which was already clear. She was scared, but she hoped that she could help him beat at least one monster and get a mana stone in return. Even if that wasn't enough, she was ready to give him some of the stones she had collected as payment for keeping her safe from the creatures. After a while of looking, she saw that there were no dead bodies in the cave, so she gathered more Evatani stones in case she doesn't find the hunter. She was trying to get more flowers from the garden when she saw Seo Ji-hun standing in the middle. Sun Moa called for him, but he didn't pay attention to her even once. She was busy gathering stones from the garden when the status board told her she was in charge of King Kyrgyz because she couldn't move. The garden was actually Insect King Kurgi's boss room, and Sun Moa was going crazy just by watching them fight. She had heard that the Insect King had only ever been defeated once, and that Seo Jihan was on the team that did it. When the boss's shout stopped Sun Moa in his tracks, Seo Jihan was focused on finding the way out. As time went on, the fight between the first-rank hunter and the boss got crazier and crazier. Sun Moa was so scared that she couldn't breathe, and she saw that his attacks weren't strong enough to kill Kurgis, who were strong but slow. The boss's main attacks kept getting worse as their range kept growing, and Sun Moa could be hit at any time. Even when the blast hit Seo Jihan, nothing much happened to him as he stood up to fight the creature back with his amazing set of skills. Seo Jihan rushed straight to the boss with his black energy and the weapon which looked like a sickle of the king of evil spirits, Sylogis, which was the first and last boss to ever be defeated. Sun Moa kept lying down on the grass while she kept thinking about how nice it must be to have 3 skills like everyone else, since she didn't even have an attack skill. Just when Seo Jihan was raging with his sickle as he was going for a big attack, Sun Moa gets noticed by Kurgis as it targeted to attack her with its special power. When she was ready to accept her death, Seo Jihan stood in front of her, and he protected her with his black energy while he instructed her to run away. Sun Moa knew that giving away his power would show where he was weak, so she stood there as he was about to use his main attack on the boss. Then, Seo Jihan got hurt when the huge tongue of the creature caught him in the middle of the fight. Even when the creature fatally stabbed Seo Jihan, he wasn't ready to give up. His scythe kept getting stronger with black power, so he was only going to fight it head-on. Sun Moa couldn't help her get away because she was the reason he was impaled in the first place. The last collision between the hunter and the boss was so big that it knocked her out as soon as she felt it. When she woke up, she saw that Kurgis's body had been smashed and blown off, and Seo Jihan was groaning in pain as he took his last breath. At the same time, a gate was going to open because the boss had been killed, but she knew that no healing potion could save him. Before he died, Seo Jihan only said that he didn't think he would die there, and that he wanted to leave. After a few minutes, he finally fell asleep, and Sun Moa knew that crying wasn't going to help. She didn't want to steal from the boss in that situation, but she did it anyway because she thought it might help him in the long run. Suddenly, something strange happened. The golden light started shining on his body, and she ended up putting his body in her inventory so she could give him a proper funeral. Sun Moa finally got out of the prison and told her general manager that she wanted to quit her job. She decided to check her inventory while she was waiting to be checked out at the hospital. However, Seo Jihan's body was nowhere to be found. The soul stone of Seo Jihan was the only thing she had in her inventory. Sun Moa couldn't tell her bosses that Seo Jihan was dead after she saw that she was in such bad shape. When she got home, she finished talking to her mom and checked on the soul stone of Seo Jihan by going through her inventory. She was looking at the soul stone when all of a sudden the ghost of Seo Jihan walked into the room and told her how he became a soul stone. Sun Moa told him the truth, so he knew she had woken up and wanted her to explain what her skill did. Sun Moa didn't want to tell him the information because they weren't close, but she did it anyway because he was the one who got hurt by her skill. But what she was going to do with him was something he didn't understand. Seo Jihan thought it was possible that she was going to sell the stone, but she wanted to get in touch with his family or friends instead. However, he didn't have any. She said that maybe setting up a memorial would be a good idea, but he didn't like that idea either. If the soul stone broke, there was a chance that his soul would just vanish into thin air. He said that she would have been better off waiting for him at the place where they first met, since she would have been able to get away that way. That was the only reason he gave them the 5-person escape stone, but Seo Jihan admitted that he had made a mistake by making his own decision. Sun Moa promised to find a way for him to reach Nirvana in a famous temple or cathedral when the weather is nice, but he kept looking at her. But when Sun Moa said he was strange for smiling even when his boss stuck a needle in his stomach, he said it was all because of his skill. That concludes part 1 of this recap. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. What will happen next? If you would like to see a part 2 of this manhwa, let us know in the comments section below. Till next time.